So we will start with organic chemistry now. Organic chemistry. What is organic chemistry? Okay, organic chemistry is a lot of things, but in the essence and at last, in a principal point of view, it is just a set of reactions, right? Even organic chemistry is famous also for having so many reactions, and students find it difficult to memorize all this reaction. And obviously, all those reactions are not for memorization. You have to look for patterns. So what is the main pattern that you can see in any kind of reaction? In any kind of reaction, you will see a substrate, something which we call substrate, and you have a reagent, then you form a substrate reagent, and then you form a product. And if you remember the last lecture that we had with chemical kinetics, the last lesson that we studied, the chemical kinetics, the graph was something like this. That we have some kind of reagents and substrate, that is reactants A and B. Okay, fine. A and B, and then we got on the top, then again on the down, and we had the products P. And there was this one more species which is called the transition state. Okay. So other than substrate and reagent, in between we will either have intermediates or transition state. Are you with me till now? Fatima? Between these this reagents and products, we will have intermediates. Okay, intermediates. So our idea and our aim will be to analyze in such a good way the substrate and reagent in such a good way we understand each and every nature of substrate and the reagent, so much so that we can determine the product. We can, without even doing the reaction, we will say this product will be formed if a particular substrate and a reagent react with each other. Then we will have a certain product. We will not memorize, we will analyze the substrate and the reagents. So generally the substrate is an organic species. This is an organic chemical. This is organic species. And this reagent can be either organic or also inorganic. Okay. But the substrate is always organic in organic chemistry. The reagent can be either organic or inorganic. And Jubana, am I audible? Jubana has not joined the audio or the video till now, I guess. Yes, now. Okay. And the next thing that I want to state is that all organic chemistry reaction, all reactions are flow of electrons. From where to where? From electron. Good evening, Jobana. We have just started. You can see this is the first slide. Okay, we have just started. I will tell you a few things about as soon as I complete this particular line. From electron sources to electron sink. From electron sources to electron sink. That means from electron rich to electron deficient. That means from minus charges to plus charges. And when I say plus, I mean lack of electron. I do not mean exactly a positive charge. Rather, I mean electron deficiency. So, Jovena, what we have discussed till now is that organic chemistry is many things, but It is reaction, a set of reactions. Mainly it is set of reaction. Otherwise it is many things. But we can boil down to reactions. Organic chemistry is whole lot of reactions. And each and every reaction will have a substrate and a reagent. And it will form a product via intermediates. Okay. So we will recognize the organic species, that is the substrate. And the reagent can be organic or inorganic. And we will analyze the substrate and reagent so much so that we can predict the products, In order to understand the substrate and reagent, first of all, then how the reactions go on. All reactions are flow of electrons. And flow of electrons, that means electrons are going from some place to other place, from some place to other place. From where to where? From electron source to electron sink. So our first idea will be to identify the electron sources. I mean, which are the species which will be having more electrons, and we have to then understand and analyze and predict which will be having electron deficiency. So our idea will be to have some idea on electron sources and electron sinks. And in substrate and reagent, either the substrate will be electron source or electron sink, or reagent will be electron source or electron sink. And in general, you will, for now, okay, to have an idea, we will call electron sources or electron rich species as nucleophile. What is a nucleophile? It is nucleus loving. Okay. Jubena, nucleus is positively charged or negatively charged? Jubena?
Negatively charged.
The nucleus is positively charged or negatively charged? What is there in nucleus?
Neutral. Both are there.
Nucleus, an atom is made up of two things now. Fatima, what about you? Tell me. Atom has, and this small little point is, this is nucleus now. Are you thinking about biology nucleus? Jubaina?
Sir?
Fatima said it right. In nucleus, what do we have in nucleus? We have protons. Correct?
Electrons.
Electrons are in the nucleus?
So it's surrounded by protons and electrons, right?
Are. No. Okay, fine. I will tell you. Okay, fine. Structure of atom is a bit dicey for you now. Wait a second. Electron sinks or electron deficient? Not deficiency. Electron deficient. I should write. Electron deficient. Electron deficient, and we will call this as electrophile. Electrophile, or it is electron loving. Okay. So in every reaction, you will identify a nucleophile and you will identify a electrophile, and then you will proceed on. Okay. To clear Jubana's doubt, Jubana, do you remember the Rutherford Gold experiment? I mean, you won't remember it now, but if I tell you a few things, then you will remember. As you know that, what happened in that? Tell me.
He bombarded, bombarded some electrons into that gold foil. Isn't?
No. Alpha particles.
Alpha particles.
And these alpha particles are what? Positively charged or negatively charged? These are positively charged. Okay, these are positively charged. Okay, these are positively charged. Okay, fine. In a gold foil. Then what happened?
Some of the particles went, it just went out of the, it just went inside the gold foil, and some
straight path, yes. And then some deflected.
Yeah.
And then some, majority of them, they passed in a straight line. Some deflected at sharp angles, and some, very few, they just reverted back. Okay, fine.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, what are the conclusions that we can make of from this? And I guess Samia Ahmed, I guess this is Afroza. Okay, fine. Yes, Rubana, what are the conclusions that we can make from these observations? Can you make any conclusion from this observation?
Yes, sir.
Tell me.
Uh, the gold foil was of negatively charged.
The gold foil was negatively charged. If it was
Yeah.
negatively charged, then why some of the why it is repelling some of the positive charge? It should all should be absorbed, no? All should be absorbed exactly, and not. I mean, what I can say, it should be passing right behind. All the rays should be passing, no? No one should be deflected if it is negatively charged. That means it is made up of some positive. Some of the areas are positive because positive will repel each other, and some and larger area is negative. Correct? Right or wrong? No?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. That means I can say that there are the atoms are arranged like this. And if the atoms are arranged like this, there are some minute little dot, like very small sized positively charged areas. These are positively charged because if you see, if I wait a second. Now the alpha rays can pass from here. They can again pass from here, correct? But as soon as they go nearer, they will now this one will deflect because it is just slightly touching the nucleus, which is positively charged. So now you understood now that the atom is made up of electrons and nucleons. We say electrons and nucleons. The nucleus, this is the nucleus. It has nucleons. What are nucleons? Nucleons are either protons or these are either neutrons. What is protons? Positively charged. What are neutrons? These are neutral. And this particular nucleus is surrounded by electrons, and this electron is negatively charged. Okay, so now you tell me the nucleus has what? Protons and Giovanna?
Neutrons.
Neutron. Protons are positively charged, neutrons are neutral. Correct? So we have
Yes, sir.
positive charge and zero. What will be the net? If we,
Net
if we add these two,
positive.
positive. Okay. That means the nucleus is positively charged.
Yes, sir.
Correct? And the atom is neutral. Because when I say atom, I am including the electrons and the nucleons, that is nucleus and the electrons. Nucleus is positively charged and electrons are negatively charged. The net atom is neutral, but the nucleus is positively charged. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So now you understand why if I say nucleophile, it is nucleus loving. That means it is positive charge loving. Nucleus is positive, so it wants to go to the positive charge. That means electron source, that means the electron rich, the negatively charged species will just go to the positively charged or where there is a nucleus. And electron sinks, these are electrophile, it will go anywhere where there is electron source, electron rich or electron loving. These are electron loving. Okay, you can copy this slide. You can copy this slide. Yes, Giovanna, you got confused somewhere. And it's okay. Sometimes we are just stuck with some idea and creates a brain fog kind of thing. Let me know when you are done with copying this slide. And Afroza, am I audible? Afroza is not here. Okay, fine. Afroza joined, I guess then she left. Done. Jubana done?
Completed, sir.
Okay, fine. I guess you don't need to copy this one, correct? No, no? Okay, fine. Now our difficulty and our problem is to find the electron source and electron sources, electron rich species, and we have to find the electron deficient or electron sinks. So how to do that? That means all the compounds are not same. If I say this particular compound, for example, CH3, CH2, CH3, and we have CH3. Acha, okay, fine. I mean, I usually connect if you get disconnected. I mean, either it is Fatima, Afroza, or you will connect you back. CH2, CH, and we have CH2F. So, what do you think, Jabana? Are these two compounds different or same?
Different.
These two are different. And the difference is caused by only one atom, correct? This particular atom, right?
Yes,
The
sir.
fluorine atom. And
Yes, sir.
this particular fluorine atom, what is the difference between this and this? It is the difference is in polarity. The difference is in polarity. So we will just focus on the positive and negatives, correct? We will just focus on positive and negative, not anything else for now. Difference. Okay, what I'm writing for difference. Difference in polarity. What does the difference in polarity mean? The carbon, do you know the electronegative values for what is the electronegative series? No or yes? The electronegativity order of, do you know the concept of electronegativity? Electronegativity is nothing but the tendency to pull electrons in a bond. Electronegativity. What is electronegativity? Okay, fine. Carbon and hydrogens, they are very near to electron in the electronegativity series, and hence we can say it is not much polar. It is, I mean, exactly if you will see this, then it is all non-polar. Non-polar, correct? Because it is perfectly symmetrical structure and all the polarities will be cancelled out. All the polarities will be cancelled out. Non-polar. You know, dipole, na? If there is some dipole moment, then we call this is as polar. And if the dipole moment, that is mu net, is equal to 0, we call this non-polar. That means we have to identify, see the if you see the CS3 like this, then where are the polarities? The dipole moment will be, which is more electronegative? Carbon is more electronegative, so like this. And you can see that each of the polar, the dipoles are cancelling out each other. This one is cancelling out this one. And if you calculate for the CS3 in the last, it will also cancel this particular H. So all in all, this particular compound is non-polar. What about this? It has a polarity. Why? Because the fluorine will be pulling the electrons. The fluorine will be pulling the electrons. The fluorine is like this attached to carbon, and it will be pulling the electrons towards itself. It will be pulling from here also because it is electronegative and it will pull the electrons, and hence this will become polar. And hence this will become polar. And as it is becoming polar, I can say this is delta negative. And here it is creating a slightly positive charge as it is pulling the electrons. Electrons are becoming less and less in the carbon, this carbon center. Now you tell me, Jubana, Now you tell me, Jabana, if I take some electrons and if I have this A and this B, we have this alkane and this we have alkyl halide. What do you think? Where will the electron like to go? In A or B?
I guess B.
B. And in which carbon? The carbon which is attached to fluorine, correct?
Yes, sir.
And this particular electron, it will not be flowing anywhere else, right? So this particular electron, I mean, if it is electron source, that means it can be either some lone pair electron or some from pi bonds. Pi bonds can break easily. So the pi bonds are electron sources also, correct? Some negatively charged species, negative charge species. The electrons cannot be flowing in the reaction. It will be held by some kind of nucleus, and the nucleus, I mean, it can be the lone pair of some atom. It can be the pi bond in some molecule. It can be negative charge in some atom, correct? So now you see the essence of organic chemistry is just this: to locate where you have the electron source and where the electron sinks. Electron sources and electron sinks. Okay. So for that, what we have to understand is the electron displacement effect. How the electrons are displaced. You see how the electrons are pulled from fluorine, right? So we will learn about electron. I mean, we have different kinds of electron displacements. Electron displacement effects in covalent compound. In covalent compounds. So what are the electron displacement effect? So the electron displacement effect are divided into two types. There are some permanent effects and there are some temporary effects. There are some permanent effects and there are some temporary effects. So what are the permanent effects? Permanent effects are, first, it is inductive effect. Inductive effect. You just write these down and we will explain all of them one at a time. The second is resonance. Resonance effect. And it is also known as mesomeric effect. There's not much difference between resonance effect and mesomeric effect. And the third in permanent effects are the hyperconjugation. Hyperconjugation. I guess you all are familiar with the names at least. And one of the temporary effect is electromeric effect. Electromeric effect. Electromeric effect. So we will learn about electron displacement effect. There are permanent effects, I mean, which are present inherently in a molecule. Present inherently in the molecule, intrinsic in the molecule. It does not depend what its surroundings are. So these are inductive effect, resonance effect, mesomeric, hyperconjugation. Electromeric effect, if you want to understand, electromeric effect is temporary, as in the positive and negative, the electron displaces in the presence of somebody else. Electron displaces in the presence of some other species. Okay. So you can copy this and let me know when you're done. Then we will first deal with inductive effect, then resonance, then hyperconjugation, and so on. Are you with me till now? Jubaina and Fatima. Okay, Fatima is here just. Fatima, are you with me till now? Okay, great. Okay, done. Fine, great. So what is inductive effect? Achha, let me just add some colors. Inductive effect. What is inductive effect? Inductive effect, if you want a definition, it is. Acha, first of all, tell me, Fatima, you're familiar with this terminology at least, right? I mean, you know this term inductive effect. I mean, not know, you know the name. Acha, is it like induction? No, 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 it's not like induction. No, 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 no. I mean, okay, fine. Then you, in 11th standard, you didn't hear about this inductive effect. Okay, fine, it's fine. Inductive effect, it is the partial shifting of sigma electrons towards more electronegative, towards more electronegative atom of sigma bond. So what is the driving force and what is the main point to remember here? The main point to remember here is the electronegative atom. You have to identify the electronegative atom, which is the more electron, and it is always relative. It is always relative. Okay, it is always relative. In a bond, you will have some one of the atom with higher electronegativity, the other with lower electronegativity. And what is the consequence of this? The consequence of this is partial charges develop on atoms. Partial charges. So what are the charges and how these charges develop? For example, if I have carbon, not able to write carbon properly, carbon, 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 and it is joined and it is sigma bonded with another atom, and Y is, for example, it is electronegative atom, electronegative atom. So what will this Y do? It will pull electrons, and as soon as it pulls, it will create some kind of delta positive here and delta positive here, and then further this delta positive, now it is delta positive. That means this carbon is more electronegative than this carbon, as it has positive charge. Even though that positive charge is partial, it will pull some electron, but lesser amount than the Y. It will pull, but in less intensity, and then we will get up delta positive. That means this positive charge is less than this positive charge. Then we will have delta positive charge here. Are you clear with this idea, Jubana and Fatima? How the charges are developing? Correct? Okay, fine. So I can say, okay, fine. I will explain one more time. The electronegative atom, that means the En of Y is greater than electronegativity of carbon. Okay. So Jubana, you tell me, can you have your mic on, please, or the connection is very bad? Achha, you can have your mic on. Okay. So this is Y is electronegative. That means it has more electronegativity than carbon. That means it will pull electrons from this sigma bond. Correct?
Okay, sir.
Okay, or you understand that? Yes, it will, or no?
Yeah, I'm getting, sir.
You're getting it now. Don't say okay. It's like हाँ ठीक है, हम मान लेते हैं. Then this carbon will be having some positive charge as the electrons are pulled. That means it is becoming electron deficient, and electron deficient means positive charge, correct?
Yes, sir.
And as soon as this becomes positive charge, now it has the tendency, now it is able to attract electrons.
Yes, sir.
That means it will now start attracting electrons towards itself.
Yes, sir.
Then as soon as this particular carbon attracts electron, but it will attract electrons in a less intensity than the Y atom.
Yes, sir.
Then by the virtue of this particular attraction of electron and pulling of electron of this delta positive carbon, this carbon will get some little charge. This charge delta positive, that means delta means small, delta means very small, correct? This means small positive. This means very small positive charge, and this carbon will have very, very small positive. Understandable?
Yes, sir. Got it. Now it's
Got
clear.
it?
Yes.
Then the next thing that can happen is we have the same sequence. Now let us take an atom Z, different atom. Now what is the property of Z? Z is the En of electronegativity of Z atom is less than electronegativity of carbon. That means the carbon will pull electrons, and this particular will become delta positive. This will become delta negative, and similarly, as it is delta negative, this carbon can extract some electron and it will pull electrons. This will become delta negatives, and here it will become delta negative. Okay. Similar to this, very similar, right? Okay, just wait a second. Let me put these in some kind of arrangement, which is now I can say that this has electron withdrawing effect. Electron withdrawing effect. Okay. Now electron withdrawing effect with respect to whom? With respect to carbon. And this particular Z can be, okay, tell me, Jobana, Z is giving electron or taking electrons?
Giving electrons.
That means I can say this is electron donating effect, or it is, sorry, it is electron donating group, or this is electron withdrawing group, not effect. This particular atom or this particular molecule, this Z atom is electron donating group. That means electron withdrawing groups, we will call this minus I. And the electron donating group, we will call them plus I. Okay, with me till now? Okay, fine. Did you copy this? If not, then you can copy and we will move on. Okay, done. Okay, fine. Okay, wait a second. Just add one more point here. As we can see that, wait a second. We can see that the inductive effect, it is decreasing. As the distance increases. So I want to add that point also here. Let me erase this and this I and dash has become here. So delta negative and electronegative here. And I want to add one more point, that is, what is that? Inductive effect decreases with distance. That means the effect of this electronegative atom is the most at the nearest carbon, and as the carbon distance increases, the effect also decreases. That's it. So at this point, and then we can move on. At this point, real fast, and we can move on. Done, Jubana, Fatima. Inductive effect decreases with distance. As the distance increases, the inductive effect, it decreases. Okay, fine. Now, what is the usefulness of this? What is the usefulness of inductive effect? So let us have a question. Which is more stable? Which is more stable? We have this question, which is more stable, and we have some options here. For example, fluorine, which is attached to CH2 and it is attached to COO negative. And then we have what comes after fluorine, chlorine, CH2, COO negative. And C, we will have fluorine after bromine, CH2, COO negative. And the D will be what comes after bromine. Iodine comes after bromine. So this will be CH2, COO negative. Okay, Jovana, you tell me. We have listened and we did something which we called as charge density. If charge density increases, our species or system becomes unstable, correct? You are
Yes.
okay with this idea? That means if I ask which is more stable, that means I have to identify in which of these species the charge density is all of them have negative charge. All of them have negative charge. So how can I say which one is more stable? All of them is having one negative charge. But we know the idea of inductive effect, correct?
Yes, sir.
And if we have inductive effect, this particular negative charge is not placed in this group. It is all over the molecule because the other atoms can pull electrons. Other atoms can pull electrons, correct? Now you tell me, what you have to see in this type of questions is what is similar, you leave it. Okay, what are similar? CH2, CO negative are similar, correct?
Yes, sir.
In all the molecules. That means there will be no change, and these particular groups, parts of the molecule will not be affecting its stability. What will be affecting the stability and how we will determine are the groups or the parts of the compound, parts of the molecule which are different. So what are different? The fluorine, chlorine, bromine, and iodines are different, correct?
Yes, sir.
And what if we want to see, we have to minimize the charge. That means there should be some minus I effect going on, electron withdrawing effect.
Yes, sir.
So which of them will be withdrawing most of the electrons? If we compare from fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, which is most electronegative in simple terms?
Fluorine.
Fluorine is most electronegative. That means
Yes, sir.
fluorine will be withdrawing more electrons. And if fluorine is withdrawing more electrons, that means this negative charge will decrease from here, correct?
Yes, sir.
Correct. Now this will decrease. That means we can say this particular compound is more stable than these compounds. Okay, so what we had to find is the minus I groups, and most importantly, order of minus I groups, because we know that in organic chemistry, we don't deal with only atoms like fluorine, chlorine, bromine. We have some groups. Oh, what is minus I?
Yes, sir. Which group is that?
All electron withdrawing groups are called minus I groups. All of them. Tell me, chlorine has more. Chlorine is more electronegative than CH2.
Yes, sir.
Bromine is also more electronegative than carbon. Iodine is also more electronegative than carbon. Then we have to understand which of these who is more electronegative, fluorine, chlorine, or bromine, or iodine. That means all of them are minus I groups, but we have to understand which one of them has the most minus I character, most minus I, that is most electron withdrawing effect, correct?
Okay,
We have to
sir.
identify this now, minus I groups. So our next thing will be minus I groups. Oh, let me use a different color. Minus I. Okay, fine. Let me write in bracket. Minus I groups. What are minus I groups? These are electron withdrawing groups. Electron withdrawing groups. So what is the order? So you tell me, if we have fluorine, And if we have something like, let us say, some positive charge. So obviously fluorine is most electronegative, but positive charge is inherently and intrinsically it will be attracting electron. So all the positive charge species will be electron withdrawing, correct? All positive charge, all positive charged species. Okay, you have to understand, this is all you have to understand. First of all positive charge species will be electron withdrawing. Just remember this. Then we will come at the order of groups because we have some groups. So for example, let me start with this N, which is bonded with fluorines, and it has a positive charge. Then this will be very electronegative. Then you will come with something like this N, R, R, R with a positive charge. What is R? R is equal to alkyl group. You know this alkyl. R is represented, alkyls are represented by R. Then you will have NH3 positive, NH3 positive. Then you will have NO2. Then you will have carbon, which is bonded to nitrogen, that is cyanide. Then carbon, which is bonded to, which is an aldehydic group. Then a ketonic group. Then a ketonic group. This again, R is what? Alkyl group. Then you will have carboxylic acid groups. Carboxylic acid, COO. You know the names at least, right? Ketone, aldehyde. Is Jubana? No, yes. No? Yes, okay, fine. Fluorine, then comes the halogens, chlorine, bromine, iodine. Then comes the OR. That is ether groups. Then comes the OH. After this will be OH. OH. Then there will be some alkynes, C triple bond CH. Then you will have NH2. And which is almost equal to a benzene group, a phenyl group. Then you will have alkynes. After alkynes, you will have alkenes. Sorry for that. C double bond CH2 and an H here. Then at last, you will be having hydrogens. Okay, so forget this. Don't have to worry about hydrogens. Okay. I mean, you have to just recognize that these are first. These are what? These are substituted amines. These are substituted amines. Okay. And it is very logical. If you compare from fluorine and alkyl group, this particular fluorine will be enhancing the electronegative negativity of nitrogen, because fluorine is also electronegative. It will be pulling electrons. This will be pulling electrons. This will be also pulling electrons. This will be becoming more and more positive. As it is becoming more and more positive, it will be attracting more and more electron. Hence, more electronegative element. Then the alkyl groups. Alkyl groups will be here. So it may be somewhat decreasing the electronegativity, but in comparison to hydrogen, no. Hydrogen will be decreasing the electronegativity the most. Now, next case is NO2 and CN. You have to remember this. And then again comes a range of molecules which have C double bond O. All of them have C double bond O. All of them have C double bond O. Then comes the halogens. Let me write it like this. These are halogens. Then comes O containing. Then from here, you have to see that this is alkyne. Then this is what? This is amine. And more importantly, it is, you know, this primary amine. You know this nomenclature? If not, then just remember here, this is primary amine. Then this is a phenylic group, or this is, you can understand, this is benzene. We call this as phenyl. And this is alkene. And this is our hydrogen, simple vanilla hydrogen. Okay. So if you want to remember, don't remember the structures. Okay. Don't remember the structures. First, you remember positively charged substituted amines. Correct? Substituted means amine is what? Amine is NH2. And if you remove this hydrogen and add something else, it is substituted. Hydrogen is substituted, just like the teacher is substituted. So another teacher comes for substituted teacher. We say that substituted teacher. Similarly, substituted amine. It should be hydrogen, but there is something others. It is positively charged substituted amines, NO2 and NO2, and this is called cyanide. NO2 and cyanide. Then comes a 3 C double bond O's, all of them have C double bond O. Then the halogens, then the oxygen containing, then alkyne. You have to remember this one: alkyne, amine, benzene, alkene, hydrogen. Not too much, I guess. Not too much. Okay. I mean, you should not be by hearting this one, but just have an idea. We will be just comparing. You can logically compare also. Can I? You can note this down. Then I will move on. And don't worry, as we will be doing some questions. Acha, previous slide, Jubena. Yes, Jubena. Any questions here?
No, sir.
Okay. So you are writing this one? Okay, fine. Done. What about this one? Done with this one also. Fatima also done. Okay, fine. Fine. Then I will ask a simple question. You will look at the order of -I groups and you will tell me which is the answer. Okay. So I'm just asking the same question, which is more stable. And in this also you have some options. For example, let us take NO2, which is bonded with CH2, which is again bonded with same old COO negative. And in the B case, let us take CH2 and CH2 and again COO negative. And let us take in the C case, what should I take? Let's take yes, fluorine. CH2, COO negative. Not Jubena, you are asking which lesson is this? This is general organic chemistry. And this is Fatima, look at the order from Fatima, look at the order. -I group. Achha, general organic chemistry, if Fatima, Jubaina, and Afroza, let me tell you, general organic chemistry is part of 11th standard, 11th class. Okay. But since you don't know much thing about inductive effect and you were not taught in a very extensive way organic chemistry, hence I have to teach a few things to start. Hence a few things should be taught, correct? It will help you in 12th standard, because again and again I have to put up with some concepts from 11th class. That would be difficult. For example, if I say, let us say in 11th standard in physics, rolling motion, there is a rolling motion. There is a chapter in rolling motion, correct? In 11th standard. Yes, Fatima, now it is correct. Jubena, try this question. Which one is more stable? You have to look at what you have to look. What are different here? This is same. So you don't have to worry about this. What is different? You have to compare minus I, and if you the most electronegative or the highest minus I character will be more stable. Directly proportional to minus I for negative species. Try this, Jubena. Okay, for Fatima, you can listen now. Rolling motion, there is a chapter in 11th standard, correct or not, Fatima? And some kid started rolling motion, just rolling motion. He has no idea about vectors, scalars. He has no idea about, let us say, motion that is lateral motion, and also there is another chapter which is called relative motion. He doesn't have any idea about this kinematics. In a way, I can say kinematics. He doesn't have any idea about kinematics. He just started rolling motion. Initially, what will happen? He will learn some concepts and he will apply to questions. So first of the few questions will be very easy. By just putting the formula, he will understand it. Rolling motion, he will say, okay, fine, omega and etc. is there. I can easily do it. But as soon as some conceptual questions start coming, in which there is some use of Newton laws of motion, there is some use of energy, then what will happen? He will get stuck. Similar thing happens in organic chemistry in 12th standard. Students don't know the basics of organic chemistry, which is the part of 11th standard, and they just start alkyl halides. They are just going on. They are memorizing each and every reaction, and it becomes difficult. Jubana, you didn't get an answer? Or I mean, is she there or not? Yes, she is there. Yes, Jubana can.
Sir,
What is the answer? No idea?
I guess B.
You guess B? Okay,
Yeah.
fine. How do you guess B? Achha, it was a guess. Okay.
No, sir.
Then?
CH2 is more stable than fluorine.
No,
So
no,
not
you don't have. No, CH2 is not more stable than fluorine. You have to compare the minus I of all these groups. Now, acha, fine. Tell me, for stability, what you have to do? For stability,
go for the minus I group, like charge density. Charge density.
yes, for stability, minimize charge. Minimize
Charge.
minimize charge. Okay. So where is the charge? Here it is the charge, correct? Then
Yes,
I will
sir.
see what is the next group, what is the next atom that I can see. Okay, O, and everything is same till here. Everything is same till here, so I don't need to worry about it. I will not compare each and every atom till here because all of them are same. Next comes NO2, CH2, and fluorine. Then I have to compare NO2, CH2, and fluorine. And what I have to compare? Their minus I effect. Which has the most minus I effect? Which has the most electron withdrawing? There, minus I effect or electron withdrawing effect. Electron withdrawing effect. So you tell me which has the most electron withdrawing effect from the last slide that you must have copied in your copy. Which has the most electron withdrawing effect? Minus I
NO2.
effect. NO2. Then
Fluorine, then CH2.
Fluorine, then CH2. That means NO2 will be most electronegative. It will be most EWG, that is electron withdrawing group. That means most capable of minimizing charge. correct? Minimizing charge. And if I say charge, I mean static charge. What we mean by static charge? Static charge means this negative charge is in one place. It is in one place only. It is not moving anywhere. But as soon as I have NO2, it can pull and it can move the electrons. So moving electron is fine. But as soon as we have static charge, we have to minimize it. That means we have to get this charge moving towards the electronegative element, and hence we can gain stability. So correct. NO2 is the right answer. Okay. Next thing that you can understand, that is stability for you from inductive effect. Okay. The next thing, that is acidic order. See, now you will be surprised how effective is inductive effect. You can identify acidic order. You can predict the acidic order. How you can predict the acidic order? Acids have generally H, and it is an acid, so HA. So if I put this in some solvent, you will get A negative, correct? Because what will happen? Acid, they produce H plus, correct? And you will get an H plus here, correct? Right? This is an acid. It produces a proton. And what is this called? What is A minus called? Jubaina, Fatima, anyone? What will be A minus called? Why are you writing DIL? What is DIL? What will be A minus called? Dilute? No. Dilute means so it is a property of solvent, not dilute. It is called conjugate base. Heard of this conjugate base? Okay, fine. You have heard of this, no? Okay, fine. So acid has, when acid leaves the proton, when acid produces a proton and acid is devoid of proton, it is called as conjugate base. So when will be, now Jubaina, you tell me, when will be acidic an acid is more acidic when it can easily break off the hydrogen, correct, Jubaina?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. That means if it has to break off the hydrogen, produce the hydrogen, hydrogen plus H plus, that means this A minus should be very stable. For that, because if A minus is unstable, then what will happen? If A minus is unstable, then it will attack this H plus and form HA. It will say, I cannot leave the hydrogen because I am very unstable as A negative. I will leave H positive. I will leave the proton if I was very stable in A negative, but I am not stable. So for a good acid, we need a conjugate base which is stable. For that to happen, the A negative should be stable. Am I right in saying that? Right or no? Did you get it? Are you with me till now? Got it. Okay, fine. That means I can say that acidic character is directly proportional to stability of conjugate base. And as we can see, tell me, Jubaina, this conjugate base has what charge? Positive charge or negative charge?
Negative charge.
negative charge, and to stabilize the negative charge in the only instability that it will be getting will be due to the negative charge now. So we have to minimize that negative charge, and to minimize this negative charge, what do we want? We want either a positive charge or an electron withdrawing group.
Okay, sir.
Okay or yes? Okay or
Yes,
yes?
yes, sir.
Okay, when you say okay, when if anybody says okay, it's like acha theek hai, maan lete. I'm agreeing with you just for the agree. Stability of conjugate base is directly proportional to, let me just first write minimizing negative charge. And to minimize the negative charge, we want a minus I group. Okay, so please note this down. Then we will predict the acidic character of some compounds. Okay, fine. Done. Can I move to the next one? Let me know when you are done with this one. Okay, fine. Then we will do a small question. So tell me the name of this compound. CH3 COOH. Jubena, what is the name of this compound? And Fatima, you can write this down in the chat. If not, just tell me what is the name of this group. So the functional group, what is its name? If you don't know, please tell me you don't know. And okay, fine. Afroza, I just cannot hear me. Afroza, if you can hear me, please write a yes, sir. And Jubana and Fatima, the question is to you. You have to tell me what group is this? COOH. Acha, Fatima has forgotten. What about Jubana? What about Jubana? Do you remember what is this group? So you have also forgotten. Okay, fine. I mean, have you just forgotten in the sense that you have moved on, you don't even remember it? Or if I will say the name, then you can, okay, fine. Oh, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. Will that be the case? Second. This group is now, if you can remember, no, carboxylic acid, correct? So what will be my question? Which of them is which is more acidic? Which is more acidic? So what you have to compare, what you have to do, you have to just see more minus I, that means more negative. more minus I, more minus I group. That means more acidic. So you have to compare the minus I groups. Okay, fine. I'm giving you some time. Do it and let me know when you are done. Tell me the answer in the chat. Which of them, A, B, or C? Which is more acidic? Minus I group. More minus I. More minus I group. Achha. If not, then more acidic. How will you determine acidic character? Go to the previous slide. Acidic characters depends on the stability of conjugate base. That means I have to make the conjugate base of this particular acid. This will be CH3 COO negative plus H plus. And this one will be Cl CH3, sorry, not CH3, CH2 COO negative plus H plus. Now this will be Cl CH2 CH2 COO negative plus H plus. That means I have to compare the stability of this, this, and this. Now you tell me which one of them is more stable, A, B, or C. Arey, how? Fatima, A is more stable. Why? Why A is more stable? All of them have negative charge, correct? And Jubaina, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Acha, you tell me which one of them, okay, what do you think is more stable? Which of them is more stable?
B.
Okay, and why not A or C? Why is B more stable? Just tell me that. Why is B more stable?
Because in C there CH2 is there.
Hmm.
So which is least acidic, I feel like least I group, as per the I group, it comes last. CH2 comes at like last.
Then?
And chlorine is there in those two, like B and C, chlorine is there, which is more negative. And in B, CH3 is there, and which CH2 is not there. That's all. In B, compared.
That means between A, B, and C, I can easily eliminate A because A does not has any electron. Okay, first of all, the first thing that I have to do is minimize charge. Minimize charge. And how I will minimize charge? By looking at minus I groups. Minimize charge, I mean, if minus I group is more minus I group, more minus I group, this will lead us to more, sorry, less negative charge. Fatima, just tell me yes or no, sir, if you have any doubt. I have to minimize charge if I have to find the stability of this particular conjugate basis. And if I have more minus I groups, that means there will be less negative charge. And if less negative charge is there, that means more stable. And more stable conjugate base, if there is more stable conjugate base, that will be getting me more acid, more acidic strength. If you are till here, Fatima, yes, and Jubaina, your answer was right. I'm just clearing up for Fatima. I have to minimize the charge in this stability. So more I negative, more I negative. So I can easily eliminate A because it does not have any, no minus I groups. Okay. Now somebody will say, oh, COOH is still there. I mean, we don't have to see COH because we are comparing the negative charge present as COO negative. we have to see at the surrounding atoms, because it is this is same for all of them. Now this is same. We have to compare which are not same. We have to compare the different ones. So more minus I group. That means now there is a competition between B and C. Now B and C, both of them have chlorine. Now I have to see the what is the distance of chlorine from the negative charge. Distance of chlorine from negative charge. Now, if the distance will be very far, that means it can pull less electron. And if it is chlorine is nearer, if the chlorine is very near to the negative charge, then it can easily pull the electrons. And that is the case for B. Near to COO negative. And hence B is the correct answer. Fatima, did you get it? The question is which is more acidic, but what it is asking, the real question is the real question. You have to understand the real question. The real question is, what is the real question? Which has most stable conjugate base? Which has most stable conjugate base? The question is of conjugate base, the stability of conjugate base. What is conjugate base? It is a negatively charged species, nothing else. It is a negatively charged species. Okay. A lot about minus I effect. Let us look at plus I effect. There will be some groups now which will be, there will be some groups where will be electron donating effect, plus I groups. That means electron donating groups. Electron donating groups. So what are the electron donating groups? And again, I'm just writing the order. So first of all, the negatively charged species, negatively charged species, there will be electron riches, and then it can easily donate the electrons. It can easily donate the electrons. For example, CH2 negative, the most electron donating, most electron donating. Then we will have NH negative. Then we will have O negative. Then we will have COO negative. These are electron donating, because as you saw, when fluorine is pulling electron, then COO negative is giving electron, and hence COO negative is a electron donating group. Then you will have CH3, CH3, CH3. Then you will have again C, but only two CH3s. And down you will be having hydrogen. Then you will have only one CH3, that is CH2, hydrogen here, and CH3 here. Okay. Then you will have a single CH3. Okay, single CH3. Now similarly for acidic character, there will be questions for acidic character and basic character. Okay, acidic characters and basic characters. If I ask you, arrange the following in acidic character, and I'm asking, for example, CH3OH, and then there is CH3H and OH, and then I have simple H3C CH2OH, and at last I have CH3OH. A, B, C, and D. Okay. Take your time and arrange and tell me in the answer acidic character. And let me give you one more question. I mean, are you able? I hope you are able to at least attempt it. Fatima, Jubaina, if you are stuck, please let me know. Acha, Fatima is not here. Jubaina, are you stuck? I mean, are you there? The Jubaina has given me an answer. Okay, fine. This is for the first one. D is most.
Yes, sir.
Okay. That is right. Very right. D, C, B, and A. So how did you approach it? You approach it like this. Now, wait, let me tell how you approached it. You saw that if acidic character, then I have to see which has the least plus I groups, because all of them has plus I. Now acidic character I can say is inversely proportional to plus I groups. Correct? That means for more acidic, I have to have less plus I. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Now tell me about the second one. Write it in the chat. What will be the answer? You can do this now. Next one, Jubaina, second one. Doing? Okay. Are you having difficulty here?
No, sir. One
Okay,
minute.
fine. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, okay. Giovanna, please reconsider your answer. I mean, there is this was one bit tricky. Consider the distance also. Consider the distance. Consider the distance. Yeah, right. So now did you understand how to approach?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine, great. Okay. Now the next, now we are done with our, what did we have? Yes, electron displacement effects, right? Electron displacement effect. In that we saw inductive effect for the first time, inductive effect. Then we have resonance. We have resonance. We write it with different color. Resonance. What is resonance? You have heard about resonance, correct? I mean, you know the name at least, Giovanna?
Yeah, even I know how to do as well. Like the structure I know most of the structures.
Most of the structures you can do. Acha, fine. This is from the 11th standard or from in resonance. There is resonance in two. Sorry, resonance is present in 11th standard in two chapters. It is in chemical bonding also. It is in some general principles of organic chemistry also. So you know the resonating structures of phenol. If I say like this, you can make the resonating structure.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. That means great. I will not be spending much time here. This will be done easily. This will be done easily. So first, but what is resonance? Resonance is the shifting of pi electrons. Shifting of pi electrons. And remember, what was inductive effect? It was shifting of sigma electron. This is pi electrons, or you can have lone pair. Lone pair electrons within a compound. Within a molecule, let me say. Within a molecule. Okay. And how this shifting take place? It is by parallel p orbitals. Shifting of pi electrons in parallel p orbitals. P orbitals. Now, another thing that you have to note about resonance is that the resonating structures, the resonating structures are hypothetical. Are hypothetical. Are hypothetical. The next thing is resonance is intramolecular phenomena. What does that mean? Intramolecular phenomena. Intramolecular phenomena means that the resonating structures does not depend on any other thing. It is in a particular molecule. In a particular molecule, not between two molecules. In a particular molecule. And the next thing is that a combination of all the resonating structures. What is RS? Resonating structures give us resonance hybrid structure. And we will call resonance hybrid structure as R dot H dot S. RHS. Okay, what is RS? Resonating structure. So these are the few points that you have to remember about resonating structures. And for example, let me tell you, for example, I guess you must be knowing about this one, an easy one. CH2, CH and CH2 negative. So how will the resonating structure be drawn? It will be drawn like this. And we give the resonating structures in this arrow, double-headed arrow, and we will get CH2 negative and a single bond CH and a double bond CH2. And if I combine these two structures, I will get CH2 and a partial double bond, I can say. Make the skeleton first. So this is a partial double bond, and some delta negative charge here and some delta negative charge here. And if I want to be very precise, I can say that half of the time the negative charge is here and half of the time the negative charge is here. So I can write minus half and minus half, minus half and minus half. I have just put the minus sign in the wrong position, so I must write it like this. Okay, please copy this. Please copy this. Acha, done. Fine. Now let us take a few more examples and we will have some more insights on how to draw. These are simple ones, okay? These are simple ones. So how will be this one? This one will be just like this. And again, double-headed arrow. You will write CH2, single bond CH. And this will be positive charge because the electrons have flown from here. Electron deficiency is created, and this will be double bond CH2. And the resonance hybrid will be H2C, CH, CH2. This will be plus half. This will be plus half. That means half of the time the positive charge is here. Basically it means that half of the times positive charge is at this carbon atom. In half of the resonating structures, the positive charge is in this carbon, and half of the resonating structure, the positive charge is here. Now, for example, if I have some particular molecule like this, COO and O and O, and what we have, two negatives, correct? So how can I make this particular negative charge can flow here and here? Then now what can happen? This negative charge can go here, and this will be bearing the negative charge. Carbon, double bond O, not double bond O, a single bond O. Okay. Now tell me, Jubana, if I write the resonance hybrid structure of all of them, I will write O, a partial double bond, because all of them having double bonds. O, because some of the times double bond is in this oxygen, from this oxygen and this oxygen. But tell me what will be the charge that I should write, or how much negative charge in all of these structures? What will be the negative charge?
Should I say for one by one or like all together?
I mean, I have written here half, na? And here also half.
Okay, sir.
Like that. What do you think? Acha, tell me, for A oxygen, for B oxygen, for C oxygen, what will be the charge for A oxygen? And okay, fine. How to look at it? First of all, you tell me in how many resonating structures are there? Total resonating structures. If I go with this idea, then what is the total resonating structures? 2 in this one.
Oh, yeah.
Correct?
Okay, 2. Yes, sir.
2. And I want to find what will be the charge in this carbon. What will be the charge in this carbon? So I will look at this carbon and I will say, okay, fine. the positive charge is in this carbon in one resonating structure, and okay, fine, in only one resonating structure. That means 1/2. Positive 1/2. Similarly, what we will do, how many resonating structures are there? 3?
3.
Okay. And I want to determine, I want to see in how many resonating structures the positive charge is on A carbon. The positive charge is on A carbon. Tell me, in how many resonating structure the positive charge is on A carbon? Sorry, A oxygen. I'm really sorry, A oxygen.
So can you repeat the question one more time?
Okay. How many resonating structures do we have?
3.
And in how many resonating structures the negative charge is on A oxygen? This oxygen.
2.
That means the what will be the charge?
Minus 2.
-2/3. And tell me, if I say ask for B oxygen, same
Minus
now? And -2/3. Okay. But I'm just telling you, I mean, now you have elevated from the standard of 12th standard. Now you are a class above, because this concept of telling exactly how much charge is not taught to a 12th standard student. You will just say that the negative charge is delocalized. You will say the charge, and here it is negative charge is delocalized.
So is it compulsory to write the charge?
I mean the -2?
Yeah, -2/3.
No. I mean, for you, you just have to write delta negative. Okay. For 12th standard, you just have to write delta negative. But I am just saying that if you have an idea on how much charge is there, then it will be effective. Because if I say -2/3 and all of them have -2/3, and if I have some positively charged species, then it can attack on this oxygen, or this oxygen equivalently. Correct? All of the oxygens are equivalent, right?
Yes, sir.
I mean, if there was some charge, for example, this had 4/3 and this had 2/3, then what would happen? This positive charge would attack the 4/3 one. Correct? Because this is more, 4/3 means what? 4/3 means it is 1 point something. It is more than 1. It's more than 1. Correct? That means the positively charged will be attracted to this oxygen. I mean, if there was a case, I mean, you will be having those type of cases later on. So if you have an idea, just an idea, negative charge is delocalized on all 3 oxygens. Okay. So if you want to copy this, then copy this, and then we will go to the main soul of resonating structures. That means the condition for conjugation. There is only one thing, that is conjugation, that is responsible for resonance. Only one condition for resonance, that is conjugation. So you are done with this slide. Okay. Done with this slide now? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Fine. So the condition for resonance. What is the condition for resonance? The condition for resonance is that molecule should be in conjugation. What does that mean? In conjugation? In conjugation, it means conjugation. What is conjugation? Conjugation means it must have one of these conditions. What is the first condition? It should have either A, double bond B, single bond C, and C with a positive charge. And how you should remember? Pi, sigma, positive. Second, you can write A double bond B, single bond C, a negative charge. Then you will write it pi. Let us first take the lone pair example. Okay, let us first take lone pair. Pi sigma lone pair. Third, you will have we will just double bond B, single bond C, and let us have free radical. pi sigma free radical. The fourth case that you will be having is A double bond B single bond C, and C will be having another double bond with the D. This will be pi sigma pi. The fifth one that you can understand will be having A double bond B single bond C double on or double bond, and C will be having a negative charge. This will be again pi sigma negative, pi sigma negative. Okay. To write these conditions, we will do each and every one by one. And okay, fine. Let us worry about this now. The first case was A double bond B single bond C, and the C has a positive charge. The C has a positive charge. That means pi sigma positive. Pi sigma positive. Okay. Pi sigma positive. Then how will be the electrons flowing? How will be the electrons flowing? Electrons will be flowing like this. Okay. From pi to sigma, and then from pi to sigma, and then from sigma to positive charge. And how will be this? Sigma to positive, this will lead us to positive charge. And how, for example, let us take CH2 double bond, CH single bond, CH2 and positive. So you will be giving pi to sigma, and then you will get a positive charge. Easy?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Now if I say, for example, another example would be how will be this one moving? Like this, correct? And if I want to write the resonance hybrids, this will be not a complete positive charge. I'm really sorry. This will be delta positive, correct? Now you have to draw for this one. CH2 positive. Tell me how many resonating structures are you getting for this one? Now, if I say for R dot S is equal to 2, R dot S here is equal to also to 2. And what will be the R dot S for this one? RS is resonating structure. Getting 4. Correct. There will be 4 resonating structures. CH2, the first one will be like this. This will be double bonded, and this will be like this. Next one will be next one will be like this. That means I can say here and a positive charge here and here. Next one will be like this. One, two, three, four positive resonating structures. Yes, very good, correct. Right. Okay, Jubana, in the previous slide, you have to add one more. I forgot one more, and at end I will write it A double bond B single bond C, and I will not write anything here, but I will write in bracket vacant orbital. Okay, and this will be pi sigma vacant. Okay, just add this sixth case in conjugation, the sixth case. Okay, then. Now, what is the next one? Next one is for lone pair. A double bond B, single bond C, and C will be having a lone pair. So this will be pi sigma lone pairs, pi sigma and lone pair. So what will be the simplest example for this one? What will be the simplest example for this one? It will be CH2 double bond, double bond CH, and if I have something like this NH2. So how will be this going from lone pair to sigma, then from pi to, again it will get a negative charge. So this will be CH2 negative, then it will be having a single bond CH, a double bond N, and this will be NH2, and this will be gaining a positive charge here, correct? And what will be the resonating hybrid structure here? It will be CH2 and NH2. This will be delta positive. This will be delta negative. Correct? Now, Jubana, now here is a very crucial point. This is a crucial point. If I react this one, if I react this substance with, let us say, I am reacting this one, CH2, CH, NH2 with a lone pair. I am reacting this with some, like, let us say CH3, CH2 positive. Okay. You don't have to worry about the product now. You don't have to worry about the product. Just tell me, where will be this species attacking? Now, if somebody doesn't know resonance, you know, oh my God, very easy. This is lone pair, then I can say directly, I can attack here. Or this will be very wrong. This will be very wrong. Because if the lone pair is attacking here, but this is not the real picture. What is the real picture? The real picture is this one. And what does this real picture say? This real picture says that this nitrogen is delta positive charge and this carbon is delta negative charge. And hence, which one will be attacking? This one will be attacking. Okay. Now, Jubana, do you understand this?
So can you explain one more time? That one.
One more time? Okay, fine. So I have a compound, which is this one. And NH2. And NH2, nitrogen has a lone pair.
Yes, sir.
Correct? Nitrogen has a
Yes.
lone pair. Now, if I say lone pair, that means this is electron rich because it has extra electron which is non-bonded. Correct?
Yes, sir.
So what do you think? Nitrogen will be easily attacking the positively charged, na? No, electron rich, and this is electron deficient.
Yes, sir.
Now, if somebody, now this is the first picture, the first impression of this compound. But if somebody knows resonance, then they will say, wait a second, now we have a case for resonance. Let us see the resonance hybrid structure, which is the real story. Resonance hybrid is the real story, na? It is the real story because it has all the resonating structures within it, all the resonating structures. So this is one of the resonating structure. The next resonating structure is this one. And if I combine both of them, then I will get this resonance hybrid, correct? Now, if this is resonance hybrid, then in this resonance hybrid, tell me which one is negatively charged? Where is the more electron density?
CH2.
Then what? Now, if this is not electron rich, this is electron rich, correct?
Yes, sir.
That means what? Where will be this attacking? It will be attacking here. CH2 will be attacking and not NH2. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Now this is the complexity of organic chemistry. Now, if somebody sees as just the reaction, they will not understand. So hence some basic general organic chemistry is needed. And
Sir.
as I go on, I will be relating it to the reactions. I will be relating it to the reactions. And again, while teaching the reactions, I will be relating the general organic chemistry, resonance, and etc. Okay.
Yes, sir. Sir,
Hmm.
is this organic chemistry is all about this lone pair electrons and all?
Yes, it is just the flow of electron. You have to find the electron sources. You have to find the electron sinks. Electrons, I mean, where the electron is present in more amount, and where is there is the deficiency of electron, and you have to just attack the other one from electron source to electron sink. That's it. It's very simply saying, but those electron sources are affected by multitude of factors. Correct. I mean, where the electrons are. The real question for organic chemistry is where the electrons are, and the position of electron is multivariate. I mean, it varies due to multiple factors. That is why it becomes a bit complex. Do you know chess?
Yeah, I don't know how to play, but then I know some of the tricks.
Some of the tricks. Okay. So in chess, what happens? I mean, if you know something about chess, is that when you are seeing a chessboard, I mean, somebody has played a few things and there are some position. And then you are asked, what do you think about the position of black and what do you think about the position of white? Which one is in a better position? So you, and if I compare that to an international master who is a master of chess, the master of chess will be analyzing the chessboard in a more depth way, in depth analysis. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Now this is the same thing as organic chemistry. Prima facie, what you are seeing is this compound, but in reality, what is there? Underlying structure is this one, right? Underlying structure is this one. So there are multiple factors which affect. There are multiple factors. For example, if I say this compound, fluorine, and if I have this one, both of them are very similar. But if somebody understands inductive effect, then they can tell the difference. Okay, fine. But if you tell about this compound to a 10th standard student, he will say no, not much difference in reactivity should be there. But there is a huge difference in reactivity because of the underlying factors like inductive effect, electronegativity of different atom, resonance, etc. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So we are just understanding the underlying things now. Then we will apply it. Okay. Let
Okay.
us do examples of this also, no?
Sir, here
Hmm.
like here it's transferring from lone pair to sigma bond, right? Then to pi bond, right?
Correct.
It's common in everything, right? Even 1, 2, 3, those 6 condition which you have given.
No, again, you can see here is the flow of electrons is similar. The flow of electrons will always be starting from electron sources. Now you have two electron sources here, right? The pi bond is also an electron source, and the lone pair is also an electron source, correct?
Yes, sir.
So how to compare these two? Now you tell me, this pi bond electrons here, they are held by how many atoms?
So which
The,
one?
the pi bond is between how many atoms?
Two.
Two atoms. Okay, fine. Now just keep that information in your mind. And this lone pair electrons are held by how many atoms? This lone pair electron is of which atom?
One nitrogen.
One atom, nitrogen atom. Okay. Now you tell me the electrons are held by two atoms here and the electrons are held by one atom here. So which of the electrons can easily move? The one which
One
is held by
electron.
two. Anna, now you understand why this is moving from here to here and not the
Yes.
opposite way, right?
Yes, got it.
So in organic chemistry, and I hope to not, what I can say, uh, this word thopna. Do you understand a bit of Hindi? No,
Yes, I can get it.
you can get it ना? तो I will not try to, मतलब हम थोपने की कोशिश नहीं करेंगे कि ऐसा है, मान लो. If you ask about any reason, maybe it will take some time. It will be difficult to understand. So I will tell you, okay, I'm just telling it you now. The reason, sleep over it. I mean, just after a day or few, you will understand it, or after a class or few, you will understand it. But each and everything has a reason. Each and everything has a reason, and that is why organic chemistry becomes very easy is if people understand it, because it has rules. It has rules. Like traffic, na, there are rules for traffic.
Yes,
So it
sir.
is very easy if you understand the main rules, that you don't have to hit somebody. It is a very easy rule. But now if somebody says you don't have to hit the red car, you don't have to hit the white car, you don't have to. That is the case happens for organic chemistry. Organic chemistry, you have very many reactions. Okay, but in essence, they are electron sources and electron sinks. Okay, if you can easily identify the electron source and electron sinks, you will be doing the reactions very easily. Okay. Now, are you getting a bit of confidence in organic chemistry? I
Yes,
mean, you
sir.
said yes, now just
Yes, sir.
hold on to that confidence, because half of the work is done when you are confident about something. And there is one thing which I tell is about affirmations. You know what is affirmation? No.
No. No.
Affirmation is affirming few things about yourself. And I was given this brilliant advice by my teacher in 11th standard. It's a bit story, anecdotal. In 11th standard, what happened was I was not studying in a very big coaching institute. I was in a very small local coaching institute. And what happened, I was very good in physics. I was good in physics in 11th standard. I really liked the physics there. And I was scoring also well, but there was a few problems. Do you know this thing? The big coaching institutes?
No,
Heard of
sir.
it? So you
No,
have
sir.
not heard of it. Okay, fine. In India, there are very big coaching institutes. Okay. And some of my classmates used to study there. My only problem was when they used to approach me with some questions with a kind of to show off that we are being taught this much. Sometimes I used to stumble upon the questions. I could not do it. But when I used to take it by myself in my room and then try to solve, I was easily solving them. So I told about this problem to my physics teacher, and he said that daily just say that मैं physics का राजा हूँ. I'm the king of physics. Just say that. Just say that 10 times every day. I'm the king of physics. No, I used to follow him like anything. I used to just agree whatever he was saying. So I agreed upon that. Okay, fine. I will say myself, because then he's told me the reason that if you will not say that you are so smart, you are so confident in physics, that you are the king of physics, if you are not believing that, if you are not seeing that to yourself, how can the other people understand that? And how can you manifest that in your work if you are not believing in something? And then he gave me an example of the pledge, the Indian pledge. है. The India has a pledge, and each school in India, they hold that
Yes.
pledge every day. Yes, all Indians are. Why is that? It is just to affirm that we are Indians. Correct. So affirmations are, I mean, and in our religion also, you will see many kinds of, there are some zikr in which there is affirmation. I believe in this. And why I have to say this? If I believe in this, if I believe in something, I don't have to say it outrightly. And only when I am listening. Only when I am listening. It is there only to affirm and reaffirm those and strengthen those beliefs. So from now on, if you start saying that I'm very smart, I'm very good at organic chemistry, if you just start saying I'm very confident, slowly and slowly you will be becoming confident in any part, in any part. Okay, so affirmations are something that you can do it, and many of the good and successful people, they have this affirmations in their routine. I mean, they have a set time, and in that time they just affirm a few things. They just say the affirmations. Okay, so remember this, and if you're in doubt somewhere, just repeat those affirmations. I'm very good in chemistry, I'm very good in physics, I will top this exam. Just say it to yourself. Okay.
Okay, sir.
uh, Fine. So next things on the next class, and goodbye
Okay,
for
thank you,
now.
sir.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you so
Bye.
much, sir.
Okay, okay, okay.